Hello everybody, it's Marty McConnell, the off-grade gecko, out here with the 1022 today. And yeah, I know it looks big and scary with the 30 round mags in there, but I'm going to do a little plinking. I zeroed this guy in a week ago at 20 yards. And after I did, I went ahead and started doing some research online as to where people were zeroing their 1022s. Got them. The end result of that research, I found out that a lot of people zero their 1022s like they zero their hunting rifles. Okay. And so I figured I would make a video, kind of tell you why I zeroed mine at where I did, at 20 yards. Kind of give you some back filler on that. So first of all, the sighting system on this is not a scope. These are tech sights. They're standard rear sight peep and front sight post. The front sight's a little bit of a pain to get on your rifle if you don't know what you're doing, so you might want to have a gunsmith look into that one for you. But why would I zero a rifle at 20 yards? So I did some ballistics calculation on 22 long rifle. I tend to use, and this guy is almost all, I'm sorry about the lighting, I can't control the clouds, and I'm not messing with the camera for lighting because that just makes it go all wonky and crazy. For high velocity ammo, that's mainly what I use in this. I also have some hypervelocity Winchesters and Velocitors. My standard ammo loads are the Winchester regular Super X rounds and the CCI Minimags. Okay, so all of my rounds are basically going at high velocity or higher. And so the question comes, why 20 yards? Well, when you look at the ballistics data for 1022 long rifle and you set it up for a 20 yard zero, these sights are pretty low to the mount, low to the barrel. The front post is 1.25 inches above the center line of the barrel. With a scope it might be a little different, but if you zero it at 20 yards, then basically 10 yards away from the gun, the bullet's already come up and it's a 1/2 inch below your sighting system, give or take, depends on how high you mount your scope or whatever. And then it doesn't really climb higher than a 1/2 inch above the sighting system at any point during the flight path. It's just what I've noticed. Now if you've got your scope mounted up way up here, it's going to be a little bit trickier for you, but for any low mounted optic or iron sights, that's pretty much going to be the case. Now if you take a hypervelocity load, you plug in the same numbers for it, you'll find out the high velocity doesn't get anywhere near 1/2 inch high. I mean, it might get like a 1/4 inch high or whatever. The hyper velocities will take on a similar flight path and they won't get that much above 1/2 inch. I mean, maybe 3/4 at the most, depending on how you calculate it. And so what this does is it effectively gives you a point blank range from 10 yards out all the way out to most of your normal hunting distances. And for me, my limit with this, with open sights, is probably going to be about 50 yards, and with standard high velocity ammo, all the way from 10 to like 55 yards, the bullet doesn't deviate more than 1/2 inch from the trajectory, from the sight trajectory where your sights are lined up. So that means I can hit tin can sized targets at all kinds of different ranges by simply putting the post on the target and pulling the trigger. Got him. That was one at, I think that one's at about 35 to 40 yards out. I've got tin cans like sprinkled all along the path here, and I'm just moving back and forth between them, popping them that's why I zero at 20. Now when you put in a Velociter or whatever, like I said, the trajectory is about the same, except you can extend that point blank range out all the way to 75 yards. So for hunting purposes, for a little while I had this guy scoped in and zeroed at 100 yards, and that wasn't really working for me because most of the critters that I try to take with this are going to be within 30 yards. You know, so if you're zeroed at 100, at 30 yards, your sighting system, you've got to aim like 2 inches low to hit whatever you're aiming at, and that can get frustrating, that 6 o'clock sighting position. Now some people like it, and I'm not going to hold any animosity towards them for liking it, but it's not my ideal setup, you know what I mean? And it seems kind of silly to me, unless you're doing a lot of target stuff, to zero a 22 at 100 yards. Now if you're doing target shooting at 100 yards, obviously that makes sense, but if you're not and you're just using this for plinking or hunting, then a zero at 20 just works. I mean, you've got point blank range. You don't have to worry about holding over, holding under, or any of that nonsense. You literally just put the sighting system on what you want to kill, and you can get really fast shots. There's no hold over, no hold under. You're pretty much right on target for small critter range, is what I like to call it. I mean, I took a squirrel out this morning with the shotgun, and he wasn't more than 15 feet away from me. So animals are going to get close, or you'll get close to your animals if you're hunting effectively and you're patient. So I just wanted to show you guys that. It's a little trick that I've figured out over the years. Just gives you a really good point blank range. So it makes sense to have your rifle zeroed like at the ranges that you want to shoot at. And with the 22, you just have this wonderful little range there for that short range, 10 to 50, 10 to 75, where that's where most of your target acquisition is going to be, and it just makes sense to have the rifle set up for that. Now all my other rifles I try to get them zeroed or maybe just slightly high at 100 yards. Those are for bigger game, where you've got a target that's the size of a dinner plate. On small critters, you want headshots or even body shots. I mean, I use hollow points for hunting, so body shots are fine on squirrels and rabbits. And even going all the way up to coyotes, you've got a little bit bigger target, but it's not as big as the target on a deer. So it makes sense to be a little more precise with your 22, get in a little closer, use it for what it's meant to be used for, instead of trying to go all hyper cool tactical and trying to make shots at 200 yards with a hunting rifle. I think I'm out of bullets. I also love these magazines. And then you can go out and practice with it, and you can see the results. I mean, you can pop cans. I'm going everywhere from maybe 12 yards all the way out to 40 with this guy from a kneeling position, and I'm hitting my targets. This one was shot at 50 yards, and it obviously did the trick. No doubt it. So the less you have to think about aim when you're hunting, probably the better. It is better for me anyways. And that's just the perfect setup that I've found, is 20 yards. Now you can run the ballistics calculator yourself. If you have a scope mount, put in a different height and just try and find that range where you get the longest coverage over your normal shooting distances, and then try the same thing with high velocity ammo, and you'll notice that it's really close, because coming out of the barrel, you're going to get to 20 yards, you're going to be in about the same spot. You could even check it to set it off a certain distance at 10 yards if you really want to have it tweaked really good and experience the range. Try all your different bullets, and what you're going to find is most of those bullets will stay on that path for you. So at that point, as long as your gun will eat the ammo and as long as it'll shoot it straight, there's no reason why you can't take any kind of ammo with you out to the field and do the job. Forgot to load around. And that's why I'm out here today, just checking this and making sure that what's on paper agrees with what's in the gun. So sighted at 20 yards, I'm hitting all the way out to, and try one at 50. Can't tell if it moved or not. Yeah, but that's pretty much where you want to be. And if you got the shot, you got the accuracy, you're going to do well at that range, and you don't have to worry about hold over, hold under. So that's why I zero my 22 at 20 yards. I tried at 100, it wasn't working out for me, so I went back to zeroing it at 20, and it works great. And it might turn out that you need it at 15 or 25 or whatever. Just find a good number that gives you that nice flat point blank range, and you're in business, man. Stay safe out there, stay tuned, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell so you get updates. I'm going to keep on having fun out here off-grid.